All right. Let's talk about some stuff. It's hard to we wanted to. There's too many of them to do individual, and I think to sum it up, uh, first that we can talk about, there was a New York tour company helicopter crash, very tragic, killed an entire family. Navy veteran pilot. So he had been enlisted in the Navy, I think, Navy SEAL. I don't know if he was a SEAL or worked with the teams. I've seen multiple reports, but either way, a veteran moved on to his next career flying helicopters with a Spanish family, the CEO of a subsidiary company, I think a Siemens, and rapidly disassembled in flight. And unfortunately, they were killed. And today, I don't know if you saw Gonky, but the FAA has reported that they have ceased operations. That tour company has ceased operations.
I saw that. Yeah.
Which is very interesting because I don't know that I've seen such a rapid announcement and an announcement from the FAA that they are being investigated and had ceased operations, which tells me maybe some maintenance stuff has been immediately identified.
Yeah.
Um,
Probably.
There's been some prevailing theories on what might have happened. We've talked about mass bumping as the resident helicopter guy on this channel, which is just of two. But between the two of us, mass bumping is something that is a threat with that rotor system. It can lead to the tail being chopped off in certain conditions. However, from my knowledge, which again is imperfect, and from what I have read and understood, the Robinsons had a big problem with this because low inertial blade system and much smaller, and the way the mast is set up, it's very prone to that. That's why you do SFAR 73 training. The Bell 206s, which is what this was, it was, I think, a 206L, have this as well, but it's just less prevalent than the Robinson because the Robinson's just known for it. But usually in either event, when it happens, it is caused by some form of maneuvering, whether it's rapid control deflection, whether it's negative G flight, like a pushover, turbulence, something is causing that mass to bump, which causes the blade to bend because it's coning and tilting and hitting that tail, chops the tail off, and it's a bad time. The video I have seen has it flying straight and level. It doesn't look like, I know a lot of people had gotten another video confused where there was a maneuvering, and it wasn't even a 206. It was some other helicopter maneuvering in the inadvertent IMC kind of conditions, bad weather. But the videos that have come out did not show bad weather. And I think the forecast and the actual reported conditions were not any kind of IMC or instrument meteorological conditions. Didn't look like there was really windy, because windy days, winds coming off the buildings, winds coming off thermals, and well, not here, but in other places. But wind in general can cause that. Heat can cause it. I don't think there was anything that would have immediately caused it with atmospheric conditions. Now, does that mean he didn't encounter birds, drones, something, try to avoid it last second? Maybe. But just looking at it, it doesn't look like there were the conditions for a mass bumping situation. This looks like something else caused the entire thing to disassemble. What that is, we won't know probably for a year or more as the NTSB does their investigation. There's no black box. There's no cockpit voice recorder. These helicopters don't come equipped with that. They're not required to have that. So, Gonky, I mean, I know you're not a helo guy, but you've looked at the reports. What are you thinking on that one?
Yeah, like you said, initially I thought, the mass bump, but then I saw the one video where they're just trucking along straight and level, and it looks like it just, like you said, begins disassembly. The one thing that struck me a little bit, I mean, I don't, in Navy safety school, we studied helicopter crashes, and we studied one where there's a Marine CH-53 that was just cruising along. There was something with the rotor blade that failed, and then what ended up happening was the rotor blade and transmission just left
together.
Yeah, wow. They found it like a quarter mile, like from where the 90 off from like where the crash site was, and when I saw the entire it's kind of a blurry video, but I mean it's just strange to see the entire rotor assembly just come off a helicopter like that. I mean the tail did come off first, but I think if there was a clearer video, we'd
Yeah.
probably be able to see it, but it kind of reminded me of that accident we studied there in Navy safety school of I think the transmission in the 53's case, I think the rotor blade, something happened with the rotor blade, and it that out of balance just slung the entire assembly and the transmission and everything out. And then 53 is a massive helicopter, but
Right.
but I thinking through it, I don't know how the rotor boom would come off first because it's kind of hard to see. But dude, they're like you said, they're flying along straight and level, and unless there was just a sudden input at the controls that we just can't see from the video, then I don't know.
It would have to be pretty. I mean, you have to go full, and then like it's pretty deliberate, and it's not like the passenger could have done it because the passengers typically there are no controls on that side, right? They remove the controls, so just the one side.
It's wild. I mean, and the 206 is it's a really safe helicopter.
Very safe.
I don't know. Like you said, there's no black box. There's no CVR. I mean, it's horrible. The whole family here on vacation,
Dude.
I mean,
and the way it hit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like you didn't die until you hit the water kind of thing. And that's last second of your life.
And then, I mean, yeah, there's no airfoil or rotor for an auto rotation to.
No, it was separated. It was off spinning on its own. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You talk about that they may or I saw in the news where they had ceased operation. Dude, they might have just had one helicopter,
Well, a lot of people in the chat are talking about they may have for insurance reasons,
okay.
Folded, but usually that's the kind of thing that they announce. I don't know that I've seen the FAA announcing it like, hey, they've ceased operations and we're investigating them.
Yeah,
it's
not
different.
You're saying it's not FAA mandated shutdown.
No, I'm saying it might be. The fact that the FAA has said that they have shut down while we're investigating them. I don't remember the FAA like when Kobe's crash happened. I think that company folded too, but that was insurance and liability and all that stuff. I mean, it's been so long, but I don't remember them being like, oh, hey, the FAA saying we're investigating them and they ceased operations. That's interesting. And then another sad one in Florida, Cessna 310 appears to have had a hard over rudder and made multiple passes around the field and eventually attempted a landing, and it was unsuccessful. And all three occupants, including their teenage daughter, were tragically killed. And that's one of those things where it's just like you fly the thing all the way to the end. I mean, he did every.
Yeah, I don't understand. I've got a decent amount of time in a Cessna 340, which is the big brother to the 310. And I mean, those controls, they're not hydraulically boosted or nothing. It's all, cables and pulleys and whatever. But I don't know I'm trying to think what would cause a hard over, unless something broke and it's the trim tab that's holding it, or the, you know what I'm saying? That's aerodynamically, it's all the way over there. I don't know.
You wouldn't think it's streamlined aerodynamically, right?
Yeah. And I don't know, man, unless how they put that little, I don't know, dude.
Yeah. Or something jams or binds.
Yeah.
Something like physically, I don't know. There's no gust lock on rudders, huh? On those aircraft?
No, I think, the 340, I think just had a pin that went straight through the yoke column that it slid into to keep the elevators and the ailerons from moving. But yeah, because even in the 340, the nose wheel steering was hooked to we used the pedals for the nose wheel steering too. So no, there was no rudder. I don't remember there being a rudder lock on the 340.
I've flown, I got like 3 hours in a 310 and I don't remember any of the nuts and bolts behind it, but you can see it when it flies over. It's full deflection. So
Yeah, I don't even know. I guess my other thought is, like, when in flight would you kick the rudder to full deflection for it to fit? You know what I'm saying? Like, if it got stuck. I
only
guess
if
again,
you lost an engine.
right, exactly,
Only if you
exactly.
lost an engine would you be on that much rudder.
Yeah, and you'd have to be. Yeah, you have to be.
So something had to cause it to fully deflect.
Yeah,
Which
right, and that's why I keep thinking about it in my head, like, how the hell did the rudder get to full deflection and stay there with that kind of design? So,
two
but
sets of control, something. I mean, it could be. I mean, something in the cockpit. Something
the baggage compartment, I think on some 310s is like behind the back seat. So maybe, and
like
the cables and pulleys and everything run back there. So that's the other thing I was thinking about, that maybe,
wasn't that what happened with that 747 at Bagram when the unsecure load went back? It hit the controls back there. I mean, it hit those cables.
Yeah. And I
So
think
they could not. I mean, like they nothing they could do at that point because it just.
Yeah, it went all the way back. I think it crushed the hydraulic system too. Then the AFCG, they had nothing to counter it.
Yeah.
But in a GA airplane, I think the 310, dude, depending on the model, I don't know which model they were in, but some of them have the baggage in the back. So I thought maybe maybe some bags are pretty much every, and you were a GA owner. Usually you keep a little Tupperware of like a quart of oil, a roll of paper towels, and maybe some gloves and stuff in there, just in case you're at some field somewhere and you're a quart of oil low. So I don't know, man, maybe something flew back in the empennage there and got jammed in the cables and pulleys, and then caused that.
Yeah, there's nothing. I was looking to see if maybe there was like something known. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, like an AD or something.
Yeah, but all it comes up is that same thing.
Again, 310, man, is for a twin. That's a popular twin, and it's a safe airplane. I mean, it's one of the most popular outside of the Baron, probably, for a light twin. It's probably one of the more popular.
So the rudder, I'm reading. I've got the book here.
Oh, look at you!
It's an all metal rudder, has a fiberglass tip which encloses a lead weight used for static balance. The rotating beacon is installed in the fiberglass tip. The rudder trim tab located at the trailing edge of the rudder is actuated by a push-pull tube, which is routed through the rudder to an actuator in the vertical fin. The rudder attached to the vertical fin with 3 hinges is operated by cables attached to a bell crank in the lower hinge. So the bell crank could fail, right?
But then if it failed, hopefully it would just fared, right, with the slipstream.
Yeah, you got that trim tab.
Right.
Okay. So there's a whole thing of the rudder control system. Rudder is operated by movement of the pilot's rudder pedals. The pedals are connected to torque tubes, which have link arms for attachment of the rudder cables. The rudder cables are attached to the torque link arms and routed over a pulley. Hold on, I'm going to share this page because this is interesting to me. So check this out. It said trouble, lost motion between rudder pedals and rudder. Cable tension's too low, broken pulley, bolts attaching rudder to bell crank are loose, cable tension too high. Excessive resistance to pedal movement. Rudder pedals not neutral when rudder is streamlined. Aft rudder cables incorrectly rigged. Incorrect rudder travel. Rudder bell crank stop incorrectly adjusted. Correct rudder travel cannot be attained. Rudder pedals contacting fuselage bulkhead.
It's everything, man. I mean, did it just come out of maintenance? I don't know.
Yeah. So there's a whole troubleshooting guide.
That's in the POH?
No, this is the 310 service manual I've somehow come across.
Look at you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad though, man. I mean, like I said, that video is kind of hard to watch. I mean, multiple attempts and no bueno.
Anyway, and then there was a MU2 crash in New York. It killed 6 people, and details are kind of limited on that one. But man, it's just been.
Yeah, again, man, we keep kind of going back to like, is it just because information is so much faster now that we're more privy, or is it the spotlight, or are things really, happening at a greater rate than they were in the past?
No, I think we are looking at high emphasis items because aviation's in the news a lot because the DCA crash, Jeju, DCA, every mishap is going to be scrutinized because, especially the helicopter stuff, because of what happened in DC, because everybody wants to, just like when Kobe's crash happened, everybody wanted to say, well, helicopters are dangerous, which the helicopter actually wasn't the problem with Kobe's crash. It was
Right.
aeronautical decision making.